Wine placed the phone down and looked at the necklace placed in front of her over the table, a huge, huge bouquet of flowers beside it. The two things her husband, Jungkook, had brought her last night. No special event. He would just bring her gifts on random days like this. Wine. Oh, you're going to love my gift too. She chuckled. She had just taken a few pictures of herself and one of a lingerie he had gifted her. He loved them on her, and she loved to wear them for him. Jungkook was a formidable mafia, with his roots dug deep in the underworld. He was dangerous, destructive, and merciless. Yet, Wine's and Jungkook's relationship was quite healthy. Love and trust was there, but the two kept respect a priority. She worn the necklace and saw how the rubies sparkled. Wine, he always brings me such expensive gifts, and I barely wear them. Shall I wear them often for him? She was lost in her thoughts when suddenly her phone buzzed. She picked up the phone, excited to see Jungkook's reaction, but it was just another text from her boss. She exhaled. Why did she have to receive them on her leave? With a slightly annoyed face, she opened the text and her eyes widened up in horror. The pictures in her lingerie were sent to her boss instead of Jungkook. But how? How was it possible? She was sure she opened Jungkook's inbox. She immediately deleted the pictures and read the text. That's quite some seduction there, Sugar. Didn't know you were into these things. Wine was panicking and even more horrified after reading the text. But when next one came, it drained the color out of her body. Are you perhaps trying to act civilized now after deleting them? I saved them, doll. It's useless. Then she realized it sometimes happened to her. While using an app, a notif suddenly appeared on the top and she accidentally ended up clicking on it instead of on the app under it. It must be the case this time as well. She threw the phone down on the bed in front of her and sat down covering her face. The panic was so evident, plus she was felt so exposed. How was she supposed to go to office again? You're quite beautiful. How about you cancel today's leave and come to office? I'll wait. It was in order, and she knew the meaning behind it. She was being blackmailed. Don't be late and try telling anyone. You know what happens. She closed her eyes. No matter how much she was scared and panicked, the first thing she did was to call her husband. He needed to know, no matter what the threat said. Jungkook, hi love. Why? Jungkook, can you come back home? I'm scared. I did something. Jungkook, I'm on my way. Stop panicking. Whatever it is, I'll handle. She hung up and took a few deep breaths, trying to calm herself. It didn't take long before Jungkook returned and rushed to her. She immediately hugged him. Jungkook, Why are you so scared, Ryan? It's okay, I'm here. I'll handle it. Ryan, don't be mad. Please, Jungkook, I won't be. You know I'll never get mad at you. Calm down and tell me. He caressed her back and did his best to calm her down, somehow. Ryan, I was sending you a few pictures in the lingerie and I sent them to Frederick accidentally. Now he's blackmailing me with them and calling me to meet. I'm sorry, Jungkook. I didn't know how it happened. Madness was all he felt. He was a possessive type. He hated when men looked her way with the wrong eye. Seeing her half naked and blackmailing her was a call for their death. But when he looked at mine, she looked extremely guilty. Jungkook, hey, I told you I'll handle it. I'm not mad. It was not your fault. There was nothing else he could say to her, since she was already scared. But that surely didn't reduce her guilt. Jungkook, I'll handle him. Meanwhile, how about instead of pictures, you give me a real show? She blushed, even knowing he was doing that to distract her. With a kiss, he left. Frederick had told his assistant to not allow anyone to come near his office except for Wine, so when the door knocked, he got excited, drowned in desire, knowing it must be her. He allowed with a smirk and balled his fist. He couldn't wait to see that beauty all over again. Yet, when the door opened, he found a man foaming in anger, a complete definition of destruction. When he stepped inside, it was as if the ground crumbled underneath him out of fear. Frederick, you're Wine's husband? Jungkook, bingo. No humor in his voice as he simply took out his gun and pointed at him. Frederick, what are you doing? Your wife sent me the pictures herself if it's about that. Why are you here? He threw his hands up in the air and took a step back. Jungkook scoffed, though he didn't see the message, but he didn't need a proof to back up his wife's text. He was going to believe her every word blindly. He grabbed Frederick by hair and slammed his head against the table. Jungkook was mad. Remembering the way his wife was shaking out of fear, it boiled his anger even more. When he was done there and left the room, Frederick was not able to use his eyes for the rest of his life. For bodily changes, a few of his bones were broken, and all of the data from his devices was gone, including his important work and information. Basically, he had a physical, mental, and financial downfall of his life he probably would never recover from. When Jungkook returned home, he took wine in his embrace and told her the good news, minus the part that involved violence and blood. Wine, are you sure all you did was hanging him over to cops? Jungkook, of course, love. Have some faith in your man. He usually never lied to her, but when it came to violent activities, he had no other choice. Wine didn't seem convinced, but dropped the topic. She was enjoying her time in his protective lap after all. Jungkook brushed fingers through her hair, while her head rested on his thigh. Wine, you always bring me gifts. I want her to do something for you as well. But of course, why would a clumsy person like me ever pull off something cool? He chuckled at her dissatisfied expressions. Jungkook, I told you, you can do them now, but I'll get you another set. That one, I'm going to burn it. Wine, no, there was a special edition. Jungkook, I'm a special edition too, sweetheart. Listen to me before I make you. She blushed and raised her hand, cupping his cheek. She knew he was possessive. She knew how much it must have disturbed him. If he got mad at her, she would have taken it too, without a complaint, because she was at fault. But how could she describe having such a man? Was this ever real? Sometimes, moments like this would make her wonder if all of this was a dream. Jungkook leant down, seeing the emotions in her eyes, and kissed her. He was, and will always, going to respect her and love her.